Hi everyone, Mercedes here with She Critiques in Atlanta. So watching Fannie for me, the words, and I love that you focus so just tightly on these words because the cadence of it feels like a ringing, like a call to action. Like despite what she's saying, it just feels like you got your marching orders, now go do something. Like she's speaking broadly. So my question for you both is, when you heard her words for the first time, what did you feel were your marching orders, so to speak?
Well, I thought my marching orders was to make that short piece, and what we did was we mashed up two of Fannie Lou Hamer's famous speeches. One is a speech, the one is an interview, and only in the very talented hands of Ingenue, because I kind of we prepared one thing, and I'm like, I really think that we need to add this bit, and it was just like it was a necessary thing that kind of took over once all the words started to come together, and once Ingenue gelled with whatever she needed to do, whatever her process was, and just capturing it as she spoke it. It was just haunting, just shooting it, because there was this feeling of just being a little bit agitated about the fact that we're in the same scenario, but there was this kind of slight feeling of activism taking hold, like, but we're gonna do something about it, and we're gonna do something about it in a very powerful way. So this was a foretaste of things to come, because there's a bigger story to this, that needs to be made, for such a time as this. So
Yeah, well, I Christine is more than generous in her deference to me, and you know, it's just the truth. The reality is that, Christine Swanson is one of the most um, you know, sure, visionary directors that I've worked with. I worked with her on the Clark Sisters movie a couple of years ago, and what developed from that was a friendship that was a creative one, and then ultimately became a collaborative one. And my late friend Valerie Boyd talks about how you have to have a community of, when you are a creative person, you have to have a community around you that you can, spitball ideas, so you can have the courage to face that empty screen when you work. And Christine is my community. Um, and also, you got to have people who are ride or dies. And when you are someone who is stuck in your own head, and I can be stuck in my own head all the time and question myself constantly. And Christine doesn't question, she acts. And so what had happened is that, I've been talking about doing this larger Fannie story for a couple years now, wrote it in 2020, and been sort of working on it since then. And, I started talking to her over the last summer in 2021. And I was saying, we got to do something. She's like, okay, all right. So I'm gonna come to Chicago, and we'll shoot this, and we'll do this. And I'm like, okay, cool. But then the next thing I know, this woman applied for a grant, applied to be in a competition by this organization called Chromatic Black. She applied for it, and she was like, we need to do this to get it. And I was like, in my own head, not believing anything like this would ever happen. I was like, I don't have time, Christine. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. She went ahead, wrote the application and everything. The next thing I know, she calls me one day and was like, we're a finalist. We're a finalist. And we got $10,000. So $10,000, this organization gave us 10 grand because of Christine. And we got that money. Christine came to Chicago on a rainy weekend, and we shot this short in this one room on the DePaul campus in Chicago. And so for me, That is what, for me, is the action. Mrs. Hamer gave us a call to action, and Christine answered that. Christine answered that call. And so when she used that, that sentence that I used in some language that we're developing for this larger piece about this larger piece being a cinematic act of resistance, the word in that is act. The word in that is act. I spend a lot of time frustrated, angry, all the time. But if we don't do anything about it, it's just frustration that boils into, sure, things that will kill you, that will destroy your soul. And God bless Christine, she would not allow that. And her response to Fannie's call was this short that you're going to see.
Thank you. I'm I guess bring this to a close. So first of all, I just feel all your passion behind this, that I'm like, you about to make me cry. I'm definitely going to look at this lookbook as well. But my question involves that, why the name Sunflower? I really want to know why you chose the name Sunflower for this feature film, and just give me what is your vision to bringing this to the big screen?
Well, I chose Sunflower because Mrs. Hamer is from Sunflower County. And Mrs. Sunflower, Mrs. Hamer, the beauty of Mrs. Hamer is from within and without. And, I read this thing by this awful person who wrote something about Mrs. Hamer, who said that, she wasn't, pretty to look at, the kinds of things that are said about women, but that are never said about men. And it made me so angry. And what I wanted people to do, was to associate something that is, we take for granted as beautiful, and associate that with Mrs. Hamer. And also there's this idea that, Mississippi is a beautiful place, but it is also a violent place. And those things coexist. And so that's why I chose Sunflower. I wanted to say that Mrs. Hamer is the embodiment of beauty before you read a word. Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of it getting out, we just need somebody to have the courage to get behind us. That's all.